The NPP has set March 1, 2014 for the election of the party's national executive. Again, it has agreed not to hold early Congress.
The party is a democratic party. We have our constitution, and our constitution advocates for competition and freedom of choice. And so today, we have decided as a party to go back to the constitutional provision and do according to what the constitution says.
The decision brings to rest the brouhaha surrounding the election of the party's executives at the various levels after a proposal suggesting a top-down approach in organizing the elections was shot down by some members of the party. My name is Bright Nanamfo, and this is today's big story. The NPP took the decision at a National Executive Committee meeting held at the party's headquarters in Accra on Thursday.
I'm very, very happy because we always want things to be done in the right direction. The party is a democratic party. We have our constitution, and our constitution advocates for competition and freedom of choice. And so today, we have decided as a party to go back to the constitutional provision and do according to what the constitution says. So I'm very happy. So we're going back, the timetable has been given us, and we are going back to inform our constituency executives and then the polling station people, and then from there we take it up. And hopefully by March we'll put our structures in place, and then we start looking at the flag bearer issue. You know, what we do in our party, I've earlier explained to you that what we do is our party is a democratic party. We believe in competition and the freedom of choice, and we have a way of doing things. So we're going to go according to the constitution. We're going to start a reorganization from the polling stations, the constituencies, the regional, the national, after which the national will set a timetable for the flag bearership elections, and then after which we go in for our parliamentary candidates. So that is how we always do it, and that is the constitutional provision. So that is what we have agreed to go with.
The NPP's Director of Communications, Perry Okujato, also said the party is sticking to the status quo, that is holding polling station elections first before thinking about electing its national executives.
As at Tuesday, the conclusions of those meetings were that the status quo should remain. Elections should be held starting from the polling station. And therefore, on Tuesday, the steering committee met with a draft proposal or a draft timetable, let me say a draft timetable of how our elections will play out, starting from the polling station all the way to the national executive offices. It was tabled before the National Executive Committee this morning, and was discussed and accepted. So from tomorrow, our polling stations and our electoral areas would start preparation for internal elections. And between tomorrow and the 30th of October, we expect them to do the education exercises and the compilation of the register and validation for the polling station elections. From the 1st of November to the 30th of November, we expect that all polling station elections will be held and the albums completed.
Right. so the NPP is starting from this point. Now, polling stations and electoral areas would have the right or the green light to go ahead. And that also means that other elections will. Now, let me tell you how it is going to go. From 11 to 30th October 2013, the polling stations and electoral areas education and compilation of polling station register and validation is going to go on. And on the 1st of November 2013, polling stations and electoral areas will start. And then it is expected to be completed by 30th of November 2013. And then constituency elections nationwide is expected to also start. Eastern region is scheduled for the 14th of December 2013. Elections in the Eastern region will be on 15 December 2013. The completion of constituency executive appointees is on 28th December 2013. Regional executive elections have been fixed for 25th of January 2014. The completion of regional executive appointees is on the 8th of February 2014. The constituency and regional albums should be completed on the 4th of January and the 10th of February 2014 respectively. Now, by 28th of January 2014, the national albums except regional executive will be completed. Regional executive albums should be ready by 12th of February 2014 and latest by 15th January 2014. All external branch elections should have been completed, according to the NPP. The party expects the external delegate list to be submitted to the headquarters on 21st January 2014. So that is the tall list of the timetable for NPP internal elections, which is expected to culminate in election of national executives on March 1, 2014. Soon I'll be going to the phone lines to speak to a couple of the people there, the NPP people, as well as find out from political scientists exactly what this means for the party. Now, the vehicle in which the NPP is driving has broken down twice. Why have they decided to change the status quo? Why want to change what has broken down twice? These are some of the questions that I'll be putting up to the NPP when they join me very soon on the phone lines. But for now, let me go through the list again. We're expecting that the national executive elections is expected for the 1st of March 2014. First of all, let me speak to Poster Benefson and find out exactly what this means for the party. Now, Mr. Benefson, thanks so much for your time. Well, I've lost Mr. Benefson, but I'll also be speaking to some political scientists, Dr. Barima of the University of Ghana Political Science Department, to find out exactly what this means for the party. Why won't the party change the structure that has failed twice, as well as also find out from the NPP what might have gone into the decision to maintain the status quo after all this brouhaha about changing what others think had failed twice. And of course, these are some of the answers I'll be seeking from them. But quickly, let me run through the tall list of timetable I have here. Don't forget that the national executive elections is fixed for 1st March 2014. But the party is also expecting that the external delegates list is to be submitted to the headquarters by the 21st of January 2014. Now, we're told that external branches would have the elections on 15th January 2014, and then the regional executive albums will be expected by the 12th of February 2014. Now, let me also go through the constituency elections. We're told that polling stations and electoral areas will start their elections on the 1st of November 2013, and then polling station and electoral area elections are expected to be completed by November 30, 2013, and then constituency elections nationwide, except the Ashanti Eastern region, is expected on the 14th of December 2013. So, apart from the Eastern region, we are expecting all these people to be ready to have the election. Let me again go to the phone lines. Ben Efson is a poster. Now, Mr. Ben Efson, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
The NPP has finally decided to maintain the structure that it had taken to 2 elections and failed. First of all, Do you think this is the way they should proceed if they want to capture power in 2016?
Well, I think that this is a far more stable and dangerous, less dangerous option. That proposal, I don't think was for Nakufado's benefit.
Right.
Nakufado is very popular. I think that suggestion was by a few selfish executive members at various levels who felt that if they were to go from bottom to top, they will lose their positions.
Right.
So first, I think that it's a better option than the new one they were trying to put up.
But why wouldn't you say that they should have gone for the new one? I mean, there's a vehicle the NPP structure was driving in. It broke down on the road twice. Why wouldn't they change it? Don't you think they should change it?
Right. First and foremost, the party will have to find out whether they lost because of the structure. That's not why they lost. They lost 2008, they lost 2012, basically lack of proper background research. And I think that the Council of Elders should be a bit more up and doing because the intense rivalry, every party has factions, but the intense rivalry within the MPP accounted for their two losses in 2008 and 2012, not the structure of the party.
So you think that, of course, they did not lose because of the structure?
Please come again.
I'm asking that you have concluded, or perhaps you're suggesting that perhaps the party did not lose the elections because of the structure.
No, they did not lose the election because of the structure. I mean, the suggestion was not to change the structure. The suggestion was to have flag bearer first and then go down to police station. That was all. They're going to change just the order of electing the executives. They were not going to change the structure, right? They're going to change the order of electing the flag bearer. That was all.
Is this decision to maintain the status quo likely to cause ripples within the party? Some high-ranking members wanted this done. It's been shut down. The effect on the party?
I think that the status quo, I'm sure, has the majority of people agreeing to the status quo than the few who are trying to push the new arrangement down the throats of the party. And I believe that the party themselves have realized that it would have put sand in their gari if they had opted to change the status quo regarding the election of executives.
You don't see any kind of ripples at all. I mean, judging from the fact that we found very high-ranking members of the party pushing for this agenda.
But you see, the high-ranking, right? If they are voting, if they are 10 high-ranking, it's better to displace 10 high-ranking people than displace maybe 2,000 activists at the shop floor. And I believe that that another thing which would be shut down would be that decision that they should maintain without elections the incumbent MPs. That one too is a recipe for disaster. And I'm surprised that we shut down.
Let me pick your brains on this before I let you go. In subsequent elections that we have seen since '92, most of the political parties, when they go to the polls and lose elections, you find the executives giving way or losing elections. Do you see this in the NPP when they begin to have the elections? They have a timetable of elections from the polling station to the national executive. Do you see this forthcoming?
Oh, I think that clearly some regional executives will. I mean, if they have been the regional chairperson and secretary of in a region where the party has done woefully in the last two elections, I'm sure people will vote you out.
Mr. Benesse,
the regional will bear the brunt of these changes.
Right, Mr. Benesse, thanks so much for speaking to me. Ben Efson, managing editor of the Daily Dispatch and poster there. Let me stay on the phone lines. Dr. barima.asare is a political science lecturer, University of Ghana, senior political science lecturer, University of Ghana, the Department of Politics. He's just joined me online. Dr. barima.asare, thanks so much for your time this evening.
My pleasure, and good evening to you and the listeners.
Right, now, political parties, the NPP says, we are not changing anything. The structure of our executives that we took to the last elections and the previous one, we're using same. First of all, what would be your reaction to such a decision that has been taken by the National Executive Committee?
Yeah, I think this is generally a step in the right direction, although I recognize that desperate times require desperate measures. But to stick to the status quo, I think is the right thing to do. I believe that within the existing system, the party should be able to do the soul searching, should be able to do the analysis and the research and see the type of candidates they need to put forward in 2016 to be able to win the mandate of the Ghanaian people. So generally, I would say the party has really done the right thing by sticking to the status quo.
Some party members, for instance, Dominic Nituwul, the deputy minority leader there, is not too happy that the decision to make some changes was shut down. You think, indeed, this is what the party needed for 2016?
No, I think that it's normal in any political party for senior members to express some misgivings as far as the party's position on certain issues are concerned. We know the deputy minority leader is a senior member in the party, so he has every right to express that particular opinion. But I think that the party has looked at the big picture and they recognize that just after one or two defeats, it's not enough to change the constitution of a party. The constitution of the party is supposed to be a living document. It becomes necessary that you make changes when it's clear that no, the changes will have to be made. So I think that in spite of this misgiving, misunderstandings among some senior members, the party has done the right thing. But moving forward, they should be able to look for people they think are capable of bringing the party the power they are looking for. And I think that should be the main concern of the party moving forward.
One of the decisions was to elect the flag bearer first before going on to elect polling station executives. The argument was that then you have a flag bearer who has a hand on the party structures and will be able to unite the grassroots and move them on to win. Now this has been shut down. Do you think that if the flag bearer had been elected earlier, it could have some positive impact on the party's fortunes?
No, frankly speaking, I think electing a flag bearer earlier or later will not really do any special thing for you in terms of winning the presidential election. The main thing is that as a party, you must be thinking about working on your structure.
Right.
How do you get more? Well, you can't win the election with the same coalition you have been using every now and then. The main thing is to be able to bring some new people on board.
Right.
We know by 2016 some new people are going to join. They are going to take part in the voting process. So how do you get a candidate who will be attractive enough to some of these new people? How do you get a candidate who will be able to speak to the issues that concern the ordinary people? Many people are unemployed in our country. When you look at the economic situation, it's just appalling. There seems to be no end in sight. So the party should be thinking about getting people, flag bearer, running mate or something like that, capable of addressing some of these challenges the Ghanaian people are facing. To think that by electing somebody earlier, the person will be able to address the problems inherent in the party, I don't think that's the way to go. The party has structures. They should allow the structures to work. They should have a very fair process so that nobody will be given any undue advantage. And I believe when it happens that way, the 120,000 or so people, the one they will elect, will be a good candidate, and all of us in Ghana are going to benefit from that.
Thank you so much. Dr. barima.asare is a senior political science lecturer at University of Ghana, talking to me about the NPP. In the studio is the communication director, Greater Accra region of the party, Michael Ampon. Thanks so much for... you're smiling. Is it because of the way the NEC meeting ended? You seem to be smiling, very excited.
Well, I'm excited, not for personal reasons, but for the entire party.
The NEC meeting has ended on a note that makes you happy.
Yes, because I have said before the commencement of the NEC meeting last week that I believe in the integrity and credibility of the membership.
Right.
And knowing that the proposal had a lot of flaws and loopholes, there is no way they were going to allow it to work.
Flaws and loopholes. I mean, it's structure. Let me put it, a system that has gone twice to battle and lost. you don't think there should be some changes to it?
No. I don't think our laws has to do with the structure. It has to do with basic requirements such as training of police station executives, equipping them, giving them a kind of orientation and resourcing them adequately.
Right.
That is what the problem is.
And so you think that it has nothing to do with the executives that were in position at the time you lost the previous and the last elections?
If it has to do with executives, the current executives had campaigned in 2010 that the McMillan administration, because they were unable to win, they must give way. Okay, there are fundamental problems that we don't need to overlook, and I want to believe strongly that if the party takes its time,
these problems are what you think rather derail the party's chances. That's what you're saying.
Of course,
let's share some of them.
Elections are won or lost at the polling station level. It doesn't matter how flamboyant and how luxurious your structure, the superstructure may look like. If you happen to go to the ground and see that there's a vast difference between the structure as it appears up and down, then of course you should know that you have a problem on hand. And as you travel around the country, you interact with the grassroots structures in the constituencies, whether in the northern region, whether in the upper east, western, you could really see that, look, the kind of motivation, the kind of resources
was totally missing.
Yes, it was missing. So you see, there is a need for us to come to a realization that you don't judge a party's chances by rallies and by public programs. No, you need to really have in place a strategic structure that will ensure that you always have the means to find out whether your message is going down and it is being reinforced on the ground.
Some senior members of your party were pushing for this agenda, early Congress. The fact that some certain MPs go unopposed. The fact that you need to elect a flag bearer first. Senior members pushing for this agenda. It's been shut down. Can it affect the party in any way?
Not at all, because
it will not shake the foundation of the party at all.
The National Council and the NEC is made up of virtually the membership of Parliament. Okay, so if the proposal really was going to be in the interest of the entire membership of Parliament, they wouldn't have shut it down.
The deputy minority, for instance, leader thinks that shooting some of these proposals down really not good.
Well, that is his individual opinion.
So it could shoot the foundations of the party.
No, not at all. I am telling that
how resolute are
today's decision has really rejuvenated the party, and I'm very much happy.
Should the grassroots, now we're told that you're starting right from tomorrow to begin the process to polling station executives all the way to 2014 when you begin to think of national executives. What should MPP supporters be expected by way of bringing unity and cohesion into the party?
Well, I think when it comes to unity, we have no problem with unity. No, expression of divergent views does not mean that we were divided. What I think we should be doing now is a collective responsibility. We, the entire party rank and file, must ensure that people who are going to come up for positions, right from the polling station through constituencies to national, are people who are up to the task. It should not be based upon factionalism, or it should not be based upon people's favoritism. It's up to who has what it takes to give us the kind of results we all want.
And that you think can be done from now till next year?
Oh yes, of course. I mean, of course.
The party is resolute about it.
Definitely.
There are talks, and you find around people talking about who should lead the party. I'm sure that is not a decision that NEC deliberated on, but is the party ready to take off by way of who is leading the party?
The leadership of the party, to me, it is too early to decide on. What we need to look at has to do with the structure, the machinery. You see, the difference between the MPP and the NDC is that the NDC has proven that the machinery is very, very much important. Look, let me tell you something. You see why I don't buy too much into the idea of electing a flag bearer so early. We had campaigned, I personally had campaigned with a flag bearer throughout the entire country for the last 3-4 years.
Right.
Okay. And the NDC had to change their flag bearer.
Right.
Okay. Barely 5 months to the election. Okay. Whether by fair or foul, they won. So it tells you that they have a machinery, and that is the kind of machinery we need to be looking at.
What is wrong with the MPP machinery? That is what you seem to suggest. What is wrong with it? You had your polling station executives were there, the regional executives, they were all there. What is wrong there?
Strengthen the polling stations that the grassroots, resource them, give them the right orientation, give them the right motivation, put in place a mechanism to be able to, as it is, review how effective and how how your message is going. Like I said, we should move from the era of holding big rallies and fanfare and the name called that. That is not it. There are peculiarities when it comes to regions and constituencies. The needs may differ. We need to ensure that we go back, ask ourselves some questions. Why are we losing Central Region? Why are we losing Western Region? Why are we losing Borno Hafo? Why are we losing Greater Accra? Okay, why are we not doing so well in the Eastern Region? Why are we not doing so well in the Ashanti Region? There are fundamental questions that need to be addressed. And once we address them, I'm sure we'll be on track.
Michael, you are an outgoing member, executive member of the party, the Greater Accra Communications Director. Now, you go into an election, and if we're to go by what we have seen, political parties that go into elections and fails to gain power will always see the executives giving way to a brand new set of ideas, hands. Are you expecting to retain your position?
It is not. No. I'll be contesting for the national position.
So it's like an old wine being poured into a new bottle?
Not at all.
Is that how it's going to be?
I am coming on board with my competence, and I believe strongly that I have the kind of experience and expertise.
What do you see is the chances of the national, those in positions now, when they go into the next election?
The Bible says that work out your own salvation with fear and trembling.
So you are thinking about yours first. You're not holding ground for any of the national executives. They should go and fight on their own.
Of course, I mean, we all need to go to the people and account for our stewardship. But I'm sure many of them are going to lose.
Many of them?
Many of them are going to lose.
But you expect to win?
I'm very hopeful I'm going to win this time around.
Michael, let's end it here. Thank you so much for speaking to Michael Ampor. He's the outgoing Greater Accra Communications Director of the NPP. He's expecting to win his position. He's moving up to the national level to contest, and definitely he said he's going to win. All other executives should go and fight their own battle. This is the first segment of today's big story. We'll be talking about the NPP next decision to maintain the status quo and keep everything in place. A timetable has been put up for elections, and hopefully this, by 1st of March 2014, national executives will be elected. This is the story of the NPP for today. We're coming back with the second segment that talks about interactive. Gladys will be joining me very soon to talk more about other issues. And don't go away yet. Stay right there on today's big story. I'm coming back in a moment. Right, and GN Exclusive will come right after this show. But this segment is all about you, where we stay interactive with you on our social media platform and share ideas with you. Gladys has just joined me once again. Gladys, how are you doing?
I'm well,
and it's a Thursday. Weekends, we're told, begins on Thursdays, and so the excitement is beginning to boil up.
Yes.
And especially when we can have some rest. What is trending today?
Today, government says that even though there has been increment on tariffs, there's some cushion that wouldn't make you and I feel it that much. So we'll be delving into finding out what is this cushion.
Well, what exactly has been done, especially for those of us who are within the bracket that they call the poor and the vulnerable.
Yes.
Some cushioning has been given to
them. So we are finding out what's actually within that cushion that would make them feel that much tariff increment.
Welcome once again to the show.
Thank you, Nana. Right, so welcome to the interactive segment on the Today's Big Story show. My name is Gladys Osei Redu. So as usual, this is the segment that definitely cannot do without you and your comments on our social media platforms. So you can be putting your contributions, opinions, views, whatever on facebook.com/joynewsonmultitv. And you like our page as usual, and then you also go to twitter.com/joynewsontv. Our handle is @joynewsontv. There's also the hashtag to follow, and also tweet with SJN Interactive GH. You can also email your comments, views, opinions to joynewsim@multitvworld.com. And we would be reading your comments that you put there. We definitely cannot do without you. Government says subsidies it offered in the past to cushion the poor and the vulnerable against electricity tariff hikes are still in place despite the latest tariff increases. Information and Media Relations Minister Mahama Ayariga says the vulnerable in the society especially are the beneficiaries of these subsidies. Let's listen to Honorable Mahama Ayariga.
There are about 900,000 meters. Now, you see, a household would use a meter. And so when we say 900,000, it doesn't mean 900,000 people. It means 900,000 meters. Because that's how ECG does the analysis, 900,000 meters. So if every household is using, let's say, 1 meter, and the average number of people in a household are 6, 5, or whatever, then that gives you an indication of the number of people who are benefiting from the subsidy. So the total number of their customers, the total number of ECG customers are 2.4 million. Nationwide, total number of ECG customers are 2.4 million. And the total number of people who are total number of customers who are benefiting from the subsidies come up to 1,326,000. So as we speak, under the existing subsidies built into the price build-up for electricity consumers, we have more than half of the customers benefiting from the subsidy regime.
Well, I don't know about you, but have you experienced any such thing? Last 2 weeks, when the increase was announced, utility tariffs went up by 78% for electricity and 52% for water, and this was met with public outcry. We hit the streets and sought your opinion.
Okay, I think as people, we have to understand what we want and where we are going from here. We cannot expect to have the best of services without looking for an increment with time. But I think the situation where government sometimes put this increment on hold for other reasons and to hit it on the people at times of convenience is what is creating the problem. I think Ghanaians ordinarily are not against the increment, but the fact that it has been, hype on them at a time that they were not ready for, that is what Ghanaians are crying for or are crying against, and I think that is what the problem is. But for the increment, we expect that there will be increment from time to time. But what I in person would not want to see or want to continue is a situation whereby government decides to increase tariffs and utilities at its own convenience time.
I think there is any justification because we need quality of service. If there is no quality of service, why should they increase their tariff? And at the end of the day, workers' pay is not increased. It's just a little money that have been added to the workers' pay. Transportation is taking it. Utility and other things are also taking it. So I don't think there is any justification for that.
All right, so before I read some of your comments on our social media page, I have on Skype John Peter Amewu, Director of Research, Africa Center for Energy Policy, and we are going to be talking about what this tariff increase, what he actually make of that. Hello, John. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Good evening to your listeners, please.
Good evening, John. Yes, so like I said earlier, tariff increase, what do you make of that?
Well, I think it's important for us as Ghanaians to, of course, realize that our current tariff regime, it's not sustainable. What is needed for you and I is we want to get home and see our lights on. And to make sure that the lights are on, we need to pay some value, for that service. And so I think the increase in tariff is justifiable. The question is how sustainable is it? That is what we should be thinking about.
Providers say they have not been given enough. What do you think about that? Do you think they have enough or not?
Hello?
Hello, John.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Okay, so providers say what they have been given is not enough. Do you share in that? Hello, John.
Yeah, of course. That comes to the level of sustainability that I'm... Hello? Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you, John.
Yeah. I'm talking about the level of sustainability that will justify whether it is enough or not enough. They started quite above 150, and we are far, far below that. What worries is what explains or what justifies the current reduction to the 60, 68 or 70% talking about? What informed them? The worry is that if you are not careful and if we don't fix the right tariff, going down the line within the 1 year time to come, the same things will come back to us again and ask for another increase. And so I think that the pricing regime needs to take into consideration a lot of issues. First of all, this tariff would have increased over the past 3 years, but that has not been done as a result of the regulatory capture that we've witnessed in the country. I don't think that is justifiable in any way at all. But as Ghanaians, it is important to realize that, yes, we need to pay a bit higher than we are currently paying for.
All right, John. Government says subsidies it offered in the past to cushion the poor and vulnerable against electricity tariff hikes are still in place, and the latest increase is that justification for that reason.
Yes, of course. Largely, if you look at the pricing regime that I'm talking about now, at PRC, I'm aware that what we normally do is what we call the average cost pricing. We are not really undertaking the marginal cost pricing. I'm saying that if you come to the general rate in terms of peak period, you must be able to pay the peak price. But in Ghana, nobody is made to pay the peak price because at peak, the expectation is that you put in more higher generations at peak. And so the cost of using more higher generation must be spread across. But what we witness is that cost, is added to the base cost and then probably divided by 2 and spread across, which we call the average cost pricing. That is the problem. That is not sustainable because our base load, which is normally high, is cheaper. Now, if you move to gas or you move to light crude, it becomes more expensive. So anybody who comes at the time that they put on the light,
John, it looks like we lost your audio. We will try to get back to you and continue this interview. So as we try to get back to John to correct the audio, we'll take a short break now. Hello, John. Hello, John.
Yes, I can hear you, please.
All right, yes. So you did not finish. We missed a part of what you were saying.
Yeah, right. What I was trying to infer is that our pricing regime, it's not sustainable. Currently, we are largely undertaking an average cost pricing. By average cost pricing, we are adding lower generation costs to higher generation mix, probably dividing them by 2 and using that as our tariff pricing regime. But the difficulty is that when you move from hydro to a peak period, probably in the night, if anybody comes to the generator at late when you put in a more expensive generation, that person must be responsible to pay that price. Okay, and so we should largely move away from the average cost pricing to a marginal cost pricing. That will make our pricing regime very sustainable. Another difficulty we are witnessing again, it's the use of the metering. I think we
John,
need to design,
sorry to cut in rudely, but with all the things you're explaining, where does it benefit the poor and vulnerable? How does the cushioning benefit them?
Yeah, you see, it benefits the poor. If the lifeline system that we are undertaking, if the meters are designed solely for compound houses, then the poor will be benefiting from that base load, which is probably cheaper, because the poor under normal circumstances is not expected to use so much power. And so when we are using hydro, which is slightly cheaper, the poor will only be paying for hydro price. When you put in more expensive generation, such as light crude, to drive your generation plant, whoever comes to the generator at that point in time, normally the rich, which uses more power, they will be made to pay for that price. That is how the poor can benefit.
All right, John, thank you so much. We don't have much time to delve into details about that, but we sure would get back to you some other time to get all the details to make us understand. At this point, we take a short break, and when we come back, we have more on tariff increase.